The preparation protocol Dr. Amara Okafor had spent 3 years analyzing atmospheric data that made no sense. Nitrogen levels fluctuating in patterns too precise to be natural. Oxygen concentrations shifting in geometric progressions. Temperature variations that formed mathematical sequences when mapped globally. The data was undeniable. Someone was terraforming Earth. You're sure about this? Director Harrison looked pale as he reviewed her findings at the CDC's Atlanta headquarters. Outside, another formation of lights drifted across the evening sky, the third that week. Nobody called them UFOs anymore. Everybody knew what they were. The pattern is consistent across 47 monitoring stations worldwide, Amara said, pulling up her graphs. They're not invading. They're gardening, preparing the soil, so to speak. For what? That was the question that kept her awake at night. The ships had appeared 18 months ago, not with aggression, but with purpose. They hung in the atmosphere, massive and silent, occasionally releasing pulses of energy that made every sensor on Earth light up. No hostile action, no communication, just work. The environmental changes had started immediately. Subtle at first, weather patterns shifting, ocean currents adjusting. Even the planet's magnetic field showing signs of deliberate manipulation. Governments had panicked, militaries had mobilized, and then nothing. Every missile fired at the vessels simply vanished before impact, atomized, without trace. Every attempt at communication went unanswered. So humanity watched as something reshaped their world around them. Amara had become obsessed with understanding the why. She'd correlated the atmospheric changes with astronomical data, archaeological records, even ancient texts. What she found terrified her. I need to show you something, she told Harrison, opening a new file. 3 weeks ago, I started looking at historical climate data. Not decades back, millennia. I found a pattern. The graph showed temperature and atmospheric composition over the last 100,000 years. 5 distinct spikes appeared, each lasting approximately 2 decades. These anomalies match our current situation almost perfectly, Amara continued. Same atmospheric changes, same mathematical progressions. They've done this before. 5 times that we can measure. What happened after? Amara pulled up archaeological data. Mass extinctions. But not complete. Selective. Certain species thrived while others vanished. And humanity, we had population bottlenecks during each event. Genetic evidence suggests we dropped to just a few thousand individuals multiple times in our history. Harrison's face hardened. So they're preparing Earth for an extinction event. No. Amara shook her head. I think they're preparing us to survive one. She clicked to another slide, astronomical projections. There's something else. Every ancient culture has stories about sky watchers, star people who came before great changes. Hopi prophecies, Vedic texts, Mayan calendars, Aboriginal Dreamtime stories. They all describe beings who arrived to prepare the people before the world transformed. And you think? I think something's coming. Something that happens on a cosmic scale, and they know about it because they've seen it before. They're not our enemies. They're, she paused searching for the right word, groundskeepers. Making sure the garden survives the storm. The evidence had been mounting for weeks. Unusual solar activity. Deep space radio bursts increasing in frequency. And then there was the data from the James Webb Telescope that NASA had classified immediately. Something massive moving through the Oort cloud. Something that didn't follow normal astronomical physics. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She stood on her apartment balcony, watching the ships drift across the stars. One hung directly overhead, a luminous disk that pulsed with gentle light. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Dr. Okafor. Look up. We're ready to talk. The ship began to descend. Amara's rational mind screamed at her to run, to call someone, to do anything but stand there. But her scientist's curiosity won out. The vessel stopped 50 feet above her building. Silent except for a deep thrumming that she felt in her bones. A beam of light enveloped her, and the world dissolved. When her vision cleared, she stood in a chamber that hurt to look at, angles that shouldn't exist, colors she had no names for, a space that felt simultaneously vast and intimate. 3 beings waited for her. They weren't humanoid, exactly, but there was something familiar in their proportions, as if evolution had sketched the same basic design across different worlds. One stepped forward. It didn't speak, but understanding flooded her mind anyway. "We apologize for the delay. We wanted to be certain you had reached the correct conclusions before contact." "What's coming?" Amara asked aloud. "A wave. Your scientists would call it a gamma-ray burst, but it's more complex than that. A dying star 27 light-years away collapsed 3 weeks ago. The radiation front will reach Earth in 14 months. It will strip away your ozone layer, irradiate the surface, and render most complex life extinct within years." The room seemed to tilt. 27 light-years. But that means it already happened. 27 years ago. We detected it. We came immediately. Why? Why save us? The being's emotions washed over her, not pity, but something closer to responsibility, tinged with regret. Because we failed to save ourselves. Our world died in a similar event 12,000 years ago. We survived only because another species, now gone, came to prepare us. They altered our atmosphere, hardened our biology, taught us to build shelters that could withstand the storm. We survived. They did not. This is how life persists in the universe. Knowledge passed forward. Worlds prepared. Species saved so they can someday save others. It is our turn to be the preparers. But the extinctions in our past were natural events we could not prevent. But we mitigated them. Humanity survives because we have always been watching, always preparing. You are not our first intervention. You will not be our last. Amara's mind raced. The atmospheric changes, your increasing radiation resistance. The magnetic field adjustments are to strengthen our protection. The weather modifications are to drive your species to higher ground, away from coastlines that will become uninhabitable. We are also encouraging technological adaptation. Your species must learn to live partially underground, to grow food in artificial environments, to think of yourselves as survivors rather than masters of your world. How many will die? The being's sorrow was palpable. Billions. We can prepare the planet, but we cannot stop the wave. Most surface life will perish, but humanity will survive. So will enough biodiversity to rebuild. In 2 centuries, Earth will bloom again. In 5, your civilization will surpass what it is now. In 10, you will have the technology to do for others what we do for you. What do you need from us? Partnership. We can prepare the environment, but only humans can prepare humanity. You must convince your species to build deep shelters, to preserve knowledge, to select survivors based on genetic diversity and skills rather than wealth or power. We can give you the technology, but you must implement it. We can show you the future, but you must choose to reach it. Amara thought of her family, her friends, the billions who would die if humanity failed to act. Will they believe me? Some will. Some won't. But you won't be alone. We are making contact with 300 researchers worldwide tonight. Scientists, engineers, sociologists, leaders we have identified as capable of understanding and acting. Together, you will form the Preparation Council. You will have 18 months to save as many as possible. And if we fail, then humanity joins the countless species that could not adapt. But we don't believe you will fail. You have survived 5 extinction events already with far less preparation. You are survivors. It is encoded in your DNA, burned into your culture. You tell stories of floods and fires, of worlds ending and beginning again, because you remember. Genetically, culturally, spiritually, you remember how to survive the impossible. The being gestured, and images flooded Amara's mind. Vast underground cities already being constructed in secret. Technology for atmospheric processing, radiation shielding, genetic preservation. Agricultural systems that could feed millions in sealed environments. But also something else, something beautiful. When the wave passes and you emerge, you will rebuild. And when you reach the stars, you will find others, like us. species who survived because someone came to prepare them. You will join us in the great work watching the cosmos, preparing worlds, ensuring that intelligence and beauty persist in the universe. You are not obstacles, Dr. Okafor. You are not victims. You are inheritors of a legacy billions of years old. The universe fights to preserve life. We are its agents. And soon, so will you be. Amara found herself back on her balcony, the ship ascending silently into the night. Her phone showed 3 hours had passed. Messages flooded in, other scientists, all asking the same questions, sharing the same revelations. The preparation had begun long ago. Now, humanity would finally understand its role in it. She looked up at the stars and thought about the future. 14 months to build an ark for humanity. 2 centuries of survival in the depths of the earth. And then humanity would emerge, transformed, ready to take its place among the preparers. The ships continued their work above, adjusting the planet with mathematical precision. But now, Amara understood the calculations. They weren't subtracting humanity from Earth's equation. They were ensuring humanity could multiply, could carry forward, could someday prepare another world when darkness came for it. The storm was coming, but Earth would be ready. Amara turned back inside and opened her laptop. She had work to do, messages to send, a species to save. Outside, the ships gleamed against the stars, not invaders, not conquerors, but gardeners tending a world so it might bloom again after the fire. And deep in the human heart, in the genetic memory of a species that had survived the impossible again and again, something ancient stirred. The knowledge that this was not the first ending they had faced. And it would not be the last they survived. The Preparation Council convened 3 days later. 273 scientists from 60 nations, united by a single truth. In 14 months, the world would end. But in 15 months, it would begin again. They had work to do.